Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a feature that is a total game changer for anyone using Salesforce, especially if you have ever been overwhelmed by all the fields that you see on your Salesforce object page layouts and are tired of managing a number of page layouts to meet your users' needs. Yep, you guessed it correctly. We are talking about dynamic forms today. One of the most exciting features that has been delivered by Salesforce from Idea Exchange, which has been requested by so many of us for a number of years. So, why am I so hyped about dynamic forms? Picture this. You are a customer service agent and your job is to resolve cases as efficiently as possible. But every case is different, right? Some days you are troubleshooting tech issues, other days you are sorting out billing inquiries. The thing is, Salesforce doesn't know that, and it throws the same old case layout at you every time. It's like trying to fix everything with a Swiss Army knife. Sure, it's got a lot of tools, but sometimes you just need a screwdriver. This is where dynamic forms comes to the rescue. They let you customize what fields show up based on the type of case that you're handling. So if you're working on a technical support case, you see fields relevant to that for the quick troubleshooting. If it is a billing inquiry, then boom, your layout switches to show billing related fields. It's like having a magic wand that rearranges your desk for every task, everything you need right when you need it. Let's jump right into a demo to see this in action. So I am logged into the dev edition of my Salesforce org. And to see the dynamic forms in action, we are going to go to any specific apps. I'm going to be choosing console-based apps. So I'm going to switch to Service Console. Now here, I have already made certain changes on the cases, but to show you the first time behavior, what you're going to see on your org, I'm going to switch the tab to accounts, and let's take a look at an accounts record page. Now here on the details section, you could see all the fields, and if you had to make any changes, you would go about making that change in the corresponding page layout and the information that gets updated here. But with dynamic forms, that will change. So let's see how to access the dynamic forms now. So first thing that we're going to do is click on the cog icon and click on edit page. Once we are here, let's click on the details tab. So this is all the fields that is showing up. And if I click on this panel, you see this is the record detail, which is leveraging the page layouts to display that information. There is one more section that I wanted you to highlight, which is basically coming from the dynamic forms functionality. So apart from the components, you also see fields in your Lightning app builder now. And this is part of dynamic forms. Now at this stage, the layout that you're seeing under the details tab is not dynamic forms, but there is a wizard which has been provided by Salesforce to make the migration easier for you. So in this case, if you wanted to convert this to dynamic forms, all I need to do is click on this button called Upgrade Now. Now, the wizard is going to walk you through uh, on converting the traditional page layout to dynamic forms. So let's click Next. And here we are going to select the layout. So for in this particular case, we're just going to say account layout and click on Finish. Now with that click, you might not see the changes, but what has happened is it has taken information from the current page layout and has converted that into a dynamic forms. What I mean by that is all of these sections that you see Now these are being controlled right here on the Lightning App Builder. So you would be able to rearrange the sections. You can drag and drop fields right from the panel here. Now, as you have seen, how do we convert from a traditional page layouts to a dynamic forms? Let's explore the capability in a much more detail. So for that, we will be leveraging our use case that I was talking earlier, which is based on the case object. So let's go back. We can leave it and let's switch the tab to cases. Let's look at one of the open cases that we have. Now for this particular case, so let's jump right into the Lightning App Builder for this particular page, which is basically on the case object. And as I was talking to you earlier, depending on the case type, we would want certain dynamic information to be presented to the user. So in this case, as you might notice, the layout has been converted to dynamic forms, although there has not been any changes. Now, what we are going to be doing is based on the type field, we want to show a dynamic section just below this case information. And to be specific on the types field, we want to make sure that anything with the technical support or with billing, the dynamic section should appear. And what we could do is we could add certain fields under that section, within that section, where we can show or hide the fields based on the values that you see on the type, whether that's a technical support versus billing. So let's go ahead and make that change and see how easy it is. So first of all, let's go and change the tab on our left panel. And here is where we can introduce a section, which is a dynamic section. Now, there are two ways to do this. One, you could go ahead and drag this component and drop it just under the case information. But there's another way. Right now, if you see, I'm highlighting the case information, and if you see here, there's a plus icon. If I click on it, it preserves the space for where I want that any of the sections or the elements to come in. So in this case, I want to bring in a section, so I can just go ahead and click on section. I have used it multiple times and it has made my life so much easier. So I would let you decide if drag and drop works for you, great. If not, give it a try. Now what you see here is the dynamic section where we can type a specific label for our use case. So in this case, we are just gonna call it dynamic section. Now you would see that we can set the component visibility. So in this case, we can add a filter, and the field that we want to leverage is going to be a type field that you see. Now in this case, as I was talking to you, we will be looking at technical support and billing inquiry and introduce some dynamic behavior in the page based on the values. So let's say that we want this to be available or the section to be showing up if the case type is either billing inquiry or technical support. So let's start with technical support. Let's click on done, and we can add another filter, same thing. So we are gonna be choosing the type, and in this case, we will be choosing the billing inquiry. Now for the conditions, because there are more than one condition, we can put the filter logic. So in this case, it could be or, one or two. So if any of the values, any of the conditions are true, so that means if the case type is either technical support or if it is billing inquiry, we want this dynamic section to be appearing. So with that, we are done with the dynamic section, right? Now, along with that, we want to introduce certain fields underneath it, right? So let's take our use case one step further. We want to introduce specific fields if the case type is technical support. And let's pull in a couple of fields. So for example, let's say we want to pull in priority. And let's pull one more field, maybe escalate. Yep. So let's bring these two fields. And just for the demo purposes, we would like to show these two fields if the case type is technical support. Right? So for that, we can introduce the component visibility at even the field level. So let's go ahead and introduce the field visibility as well. So in this case, we're gonna choose the type, and sometimes you need to switch the operators to actually see the values, and it doesn't recognize that. So give it a go. Yep, I have noticed it a few times. So just changing the operator, it brings it back. So in this case, the type is technical support. We are gonna do the same thing for escalated as well. Okay. Now, yep, we are going to choose the technical support. So what we have done is we have added the field visibility for both priority and escalated to show up when the record case type is equal to technical support. And I need to update the condition to ensure it is equals in both the cases. Okay, so both the conditions look good. With that, let's pull in few of the fields for billing. So in case I, we can pull in potential liability and phone number. Okay. Now what we want is potential liability and contact phone to appear if the case type is billing. So in this case, we are going to add a field level visibility filter. So we're going to select that as type, and let's change that. Okay. And in this case, we want it for billing inquiry, so this looks correct. Same thing for contact phone. So we have added two fields for technical support and two fields for billing. So we go through the same process, add it here. So done. So we introduced a dynamic section, and under the dynamic section, we have four fields that we added. One is the priority, which is gonna show up when the case type is technical support. Same thing for escalated, that we should see priority and escalated if the case type is technical support, but in this section we should see potential liability or contact phone if the case type is billing inquiry. So once we have done that, let's go ahead and save the page. And once the page is saved, we can go back and test it. So in this case, currently, if you see, our type is electrical and we don't see our dynamic information here. So what we're going to do is change the value of the case type. So for this particular record, I'm going to be changing it to, let's say, technical support. Once we do that and click on save, you would see the magic. As soon as the case type was selected as technical support, you would see this dynamic section that appeared. And not only the section, even the fields, you only see two fields here. One is the priority, another is escalated, but you don't see the other two fields that we added, which is basically the potential liability and the contact phone. Because if you remember, the filter that we have provided is if the case type is billing, then the other two fields should appear. So let's go ahead and test that use case as well. So now we're going to be changing from technical support to billing inquiry, and boom. What you actually noticed is since we already have the section open, the two fields which were previously available as part of technical support, those are no longer visible and they have been replaced by potential liability and contact phone. So that's another thing that you would see, that at the field level filters are much more dynamic compared to the section filter. So hope I was able to share the use case and you go ahead and give it a try. Now, as we have seen a practical use case of dynamic forms, why is it amazing? Because it means our agents are not wasting time scrolling through irrelevant fields. They get exactly what they need to resolve the case faster, which means happier customers and happier agents. It's a win-win. And dynamic forms are available for most of the Salesforce objects, including the custom objects. So you'd be able to extend this to meet your business needs. To wrap it up, dynamic forms are powerhouse feature in Salesforce that can really streamline how you work with different types of data, especially in scenarios like customer service. If you're not using them yet, I highly recommend giving them a go. They might just be the productivity boost you didn't know you needed. That's it for today. If you found this helpful, give us a like, drop a comment below with your thoughts or any questions, and don't forget to subscribe for more Salesforce tips and tricks. Catch you in the next video. Thank you.